Okay, now, yesterday, swim went great. The bike, on the other hand, kicked my butt. I guess I didn't know what to expect. I went into it thinking, well, I've done a half Ironman, and I do that in about 3 hours. The bike, so it's about 6 hours. Hey, no problem. So I got out of the water, and I had a good transition. Got my gear on, um, and hopped on the bike, and off I went. Not realizing, I guess I just didn't research. I didn't really take a close look at the course. Idaho is the hilliest place on the planet. I guess there's so many hills and mountains. An Idaho person told me this, an Idahoan. They said if you pulled Idaho tight, like it was the surface of a balloon, you have all these mountains and stuff. If you pulled it tight so there were no mountains and just the surface area, it would be bigger than Texas, which I believe. I hit the bike and it was nothing but hills. Now 3 weeks ago, I had bronchitis and I had a really bad cold and I was worried that I wasn't going to make it. So my oxygen uptake was a little bit labored. And then coming back after my first lap, I mean, climbing these hills, it was like the bike ride from hell. Coming back, my shifter broke, and it was stuck on the harder gear. And my derailleur wouldn't work, and so I waited like a half hour for a bike tech. They go up and down the course on scooters. I waited like a half hour for a bike tech. And she came and looked at it and told me that it's not your derailleur, it's your shifter. Your shifter's broken. So manually, she set it to the lower gear, which enabled me to climb hills. But on the straightaway or on downhills, I'm not going to get that extra speed. And my legs just spin like a little hamster wheel, just flying. So I did more revolutions during this race than was required. So basically what happens is you do the first lap, and then you do a second lap. And I think the second lap was the hardest because I knew what was coming. Like the first lap, I had no idea. The second lap, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do this same thing. I have to do that again. And so I'm climbing this hill, and there were times during the climb where I'm just thinking, I don't know if I can do this. But I got up and got back into town. Things I learned on this ride is on that race, the bike portion of the race, was to always take nutrition, stay hydrated and take nutrition. And if I was to do it again, I think I would use more sunscreen because I got burnt pretty bad. I have weird burns because I use a calf. I have this sleeve that I put on my calf to help for the race. So I have this weird knee burn that looks like knee pads. I have these red knee pads on my knees. My thighs are white and my calves are white, but I have these weird red knees. So I probably would have used more sunscreen. I think that before my next race, I'm going to make sure my bike gets into the mechanic. That's something that I've learned is prepare. I did get it in. I had brand new tires and tubes, and so while there were hundreds of guys I saw on the side, getting their tires changed, I was rock solid. My tires were great. It was a tough ride. In the end, almost 8 hours on the bike. Now that's 112 miles. It was slow. I mean, the pros are coming in 4 or 5 hours, so I'm about 3 hours behind the pros. But it was an experience, and it's something I want to do again. Like I'm not going to let that beat me. I'm gonna do that race again, particularly because it is so hilly, and I want to come into it with a better prepared, and I also want to come in with a new bike. I think that's if I want to take this further, I'm going to have to buy a bike that's a little higher end. My bike's okay. It's an entry-level bike. So I'm going to have to get some money together. Not the $14,000 bike that I was parked beside, but perhaps something, a mid-range kind of bike. But yesterday, great experience. The bike was Even though it was the bike ride from hell, it was good. It was a lot of fun.